In our study of strategic decision-making, we want to remind ourselves of the context and the purpose. We want to appreciate that through this study, we aim to be better entrepreneurial decision makers, and that through this examination, we can understand what's different about the decision-making of entrepreneurs versus your typical managers. And we also want to learn how to make more efficient and effective decisions. Efficient in the context of they are made with reasonable resource commitment and relatively quickly, and effective in that they're the best possible decisions that we can make with the information and the resources that we have. So the environment of entrepreneurs is uniquely challenging. And to put that in some context, almost by definition, entrepreneurs are, or at least should be, doing new things. They should perhaps not have all the resources and relationships of your typical established companies. There are higher levels of uncertainty and complexity, and also perhaps greater levels of consequences with failure. If you're a large firm and you spend a few $1,000,000 and your outcome is not what you expected, that's probably recoverable. With an entrepreneur, that may not be recoverable. So in that context, the consequences are much more significant, and the entrepreneurs are put under a bit more stress in making those decisions. What that means too in the context of the environment is that when we look at this picture, we believe the individual is going up a flight of stairs. And when we have that narrow focus, that's a reasonable assumption to make. When we look at the bigger picture, when we put it in the context, you'll see that the environment is different than what we thought it was. That there are stairs going up and down and left and right. And there are people going in different directions. And the windows and the walls and the trees aren't exactly where we thought they were when we had our narrow focus here. I think this is a good parallel for entrepreneurship, in that it's not always what we think it is. And the opportunity is not always what we thought it was. And where other people are and what other people are doing, be they customers, competitors, suppliers, investors, they may not be where we thought. And their interests and their pursuits and their paths may be different. And that's something good to keep in mind, but through effective decision making, hopefully we can gain some clarity and gain some focus in understanding those elements. Thereby, in the study of entrepreneurial decision making, we want to recognize, how can I be a better decision maker with limited information? Having to accept higher levels of risk that involve major consequences. And also recognize that without opportunity discovery, there is no venture. So we can jump into an examination of markets and competition, but we want to start with really getting a good foundation of understanding ourselves and understanding ourselves as the entrepreneurs and how we can be better in that context. We also want to recognize what is a strategic decision in the context of entrepreneurship, and it's almost everything in the beginning of the venture. When you're evaluating the idea, when you're thinking about the concept, when you're developing the prototype, when you're testing that with customers, when you're considering if you need to raise funding, what should I focus on in my marketing plan? From a human resources and team building perspective, who should be on my team? Who should be my co-founders? Who should be my other executive and support staff? How do I build it? Where do I build it? At what cost do I spend on building it? And then there's the launch. And you've done all of those things before you brought your first product to market. Many strategic decisions need to be made, and many considerations need to be taken into effect. So those decision-making elements are mental processes. They are cognitive processes as we look at opportunities and think about skills and abilities and how to navigate them and what we can do to be more effective in those elements are the types of things we're going to be exploring in the coming lectures. And we can look at Amazon and what they've done. What do they build by way of creating new businesses? What do they buy by way of acquisition? Who do they partner with to enter new markets or to realize new capabilities? And when we're thoughtful in making this consideration as entrepreneurs of building or buying or partnering, as one example to how to pursue growth, we want to learn from what's out there. We want to think about what's worked before. We want to realize that there are multiple goals that we might be pursuing, or even within a specific goal, multiple paths to achieving that goal. And it's really decision making that's going to let you know what you should do, in what order, at what timeline, at what cost, and through what strategy. decisions on entrepreneurial opportunities certainly benefit by putting in place some processes and procedures that have worked well historically. One is having that entrepreneurial perspective. We're going to study the psychological traits of entrepreneurs, and we're going to work to understand what are traits that are beneficial if I have them, and/or traits that I can enhance or develop within myself. We're going to talk about opportunity discovery aspects of how can I recognize and develop new ideas. We're going to talk about the cognitive aspects of decision making as we've begun to do today, to really think about the thinking that goes into entrepreneurship. And we, of course, are going to look at analytical skills and how do I evaluate and select opportunities. So in summary, when we look at entrepreneurs, they make significant decisions in dynamic and in uncertain environments. They do that recognizing that there are precedents, there are certain styles and tools that exist, and you want to be aware of that when you are making those decisions. You also want to know your own decision-making style, and so we're going to spend some time on that going forward. This will help you anticipate, analyze, and make better decisions in your entrepreneurial pursuits.